Okay, and the presentation will be correct three subtopics. eh, Focus in the reasons about why the hunger in the world continue to exist. The first will be effects to war in hunger in the world. Second will be hunger and climate change. And third will be poverty and exclusion. Okay. First of all, for war increased hunger in the world, one of the reasons is that increased numbers of armament of protect conflicts in the world is increasing unacceptable levels of hunger. For example, in the Food and Agriculture Organization of United Nations reported notes that in total some 56 million people are in urgent and needs of food and livelihood. Conflict affect areas. Um, on the other hand, in where there is the abandonment and agriculture production, the confination of land, the destruction of warehouses, the contamination of wells, communication networks are blocked, and hunger is used like a weapon of war. The Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development in 2020 reported a total of 358,937 proprietors of 312,000 households in Colombia abandoned agriculture production due to armed conflict. The rules say that to mitigate the conflict, campaigns are being created to so that people outside the law have a opportunity to have a new life and a way to join the country as a good people. However, the conflict continue to exist in many parts of the world and continue to harm people um, at the end of 2020. The United Nations count 20.7 million refugees and 5.7 million Palestinian refugees, 4.48 million internally displaced, and more than 4 million asylum seekers. Okay, second, more and more people have to move from their places of origin because the land where they have always lived has become a barrier. The scarcity of water is more and more worrying. The United Nations points out that there are already around 250 million people affected uh, by this phenomenon, and is already talking about the existence of climate refugees. On the other hand, there are large tracts of land decided to monoculture that don't go to the food market, but the rule or wood markers. Um, the inappropriate use of land, overgrown exploitation, deforestation, and the waste of water are bad practices that directly affect the climate. The Earth observing system reported that forest loss between 2015 and 2020 is estimate about 10 million uh, hectares per year, but in the different countries it is mentioned that campaigns are carried out to help con- contract this climate situation, but that directly affects hunger in the world. In, 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 in recent years, climate change, uh, climate change our aggravating the effects of droughts. While worldwide, more than 1.42 billion people, including 450 million children, live in areas of high or extreme vulnerability to war. Okay, and finally, poverty is one of the biggest causes of hunger in the world. It is true in both rich and poor countries. Um, this is not difficult to understand that for the almost 1 billion people who lives or rather try to survive on less than $1.27, sorry, $1.25 a day, getting enough food to eat is very difficult, and the United Nations confirmed that 8% of workers worldwide and their families lived in extreme poverty in 2020. On the other matters, the largest group of people living in extreme poverty in the world are small farmers in development countries. In Central America, about 40% of the rural population lives in poverty, according to the FAO. In that case, some countries say that against poverty, they are generating more employment and educational opportunities uh, for the less favored or the most poor people. Uh, Nevertheless, according to FAO, more than 700 million people, or the 10% of the world's population, is still living in extremely poverty today, and they had difficulties in meeting to the most basic needs like health, education, and access to water and sanitation.